Let me begin with a truth most men refuse to accept. You do not rise to greatness by doing what is required. You rise by doing what is uncommon. The world does not crown the man who completes the assignment. It crowns the man who exceeds the assignment, who goes beyond the line, beyond the obligation, beyond what is expected. That, my friend, is the extra mile. And I tell you now, every winner I've ever known lives on it. You want to know why you haven't yet arrived at the success you claim to desire? You're still negotiating with minimums. You still measure how little you can do and still call it discipline. You still ask, how much is enough? Instead of, how much more can I give? But hear me, success does not visit the man who does the minimum. It builds its home with the man who goes further when no one asks him to, when no one claps, when no one sees. This principle, what I have called the habit of going the extra mile, is not just a behavior. It is a spiritual law. It multiplies your value. It commands attention. It opens doors that talent cannot. You think you're being overlooked? You think you're waiting on opportunity? No. Opportunity is waiting on you to go past the finish line and prove you are worthy of more. Let me make it plain. Those who give more than they are paid for will eventually be paid for more than they give. This is not theory. It is not wishful thinking. It is a universal law backed by every great achiever I have ever studied. But most men will never live this law. They are stuck in the mindset of fairness. They say, I'll do it when I'm rewarded. I'll go further when I get promoted. I'll give more when I'm recognized. But they never are, because the law does not reward the man who waits for gain. It rewards the man who creates value without condition. Do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be trusted with greater influence, greater wealth, greater leadership? Then you must become the man who gives more than is expected every single day until it becomes your normal. Understand, going the extra mile is not about working longer. It's about working with excellence. It's about doing the small things with so much intention, so much pride, so much ownership that your very presence becomes valuable. You don't need more followers. You need more integrity. You need more sweat, more attention to detail, more willingness to do what others ignore. Because the man who exceeds expectation becomes irreplaceable. You think leaders are made through titles? They are made through initiative, through unseen hours, through solving problems before they are assigned, through showing up prepared when others arrive just in time. Let me give you an example. Charles M. Schwab, the great steel magnate I interviewed, rose from a mere laborer to the president of U.S. Steel, not because he asked for a raise, but because he made himself impossible to overlook. He outthought, outserved, and outacted everyone around him. He went beyond his pay, and eventually his pay had no choice but to catch up. That is the law. It may take time, but time always honors the man who goes beyond the call. So I ask you, are you still calculating effort based on compensation? Are you still clocking in with the mindset of just enough? Or have you decided that who you are becoming matters more than what you're being given? You see, every time you go the extra mile, you do more than serve others. You are training your subconscious to believe that you are someone of worth. And identity, my friend, is everything. You cannot rise above the standard you've accepted for yourself. You cannot outperform the version of you that's been programmed to stop at good enough. But when you go beyond, when you do one more task, stay one more hour, ask one more question, give one more inch of detail, you rewrite your identity as someone who exceeds. And what you believe about yourself will eventually be reflected in what the world believes about you. Let me share something else. Going the extra mile is not for applause. It is for alignment. Alignment with who you are destined to become. Alignment with the future you say you want. Alignment with the spiritual law that says, to him who is faithful in little, more shall be given. If you cannot be excellent when no one sees, do not expect to be elevated when the spotlight arrives. You want stage time, but you ignore preparation. You want rewards, but you resist repetition. You want to be trusted with more, but you have not yet mastered less. This is the reason your breakthrough is delayed, not because you aren't gifted, but because you haven't yet made excellence your lifestyle. Excellence is not a performance. It is a posture, a way of moving, a decision to leave no part of yourself on the table. And that decision must be made every single day, not occasionally, not when motivated, but as a law you live by. Winners don't wait for extra instruction. They anticipate needs. They prepare early. They stay late. They finish strong. They do it whether they're in the mood or not, because they've learned this. There is no traffic jam on the extra mile. Most people never get there. They quit at the line of expectation. They stop at good. They compare themselves to average. They say, I did my part. But winners are not satisfied with doing their part. They finish the race and then ask, what else can I fix? They go further not because they have to, but because they've trained themselves to serve excellence, not emotions. And I must warn you, if you're still checking in with how you feel before you give your best, you are still a slave to your emotions. And the man who serves emotion will never access legacy. Emotion says, you've done enough. Excellence says, you still have more to give. Emotion says, they don't deserve it. Excellence says, I give because that's who I am. This is not about being a workaholic. This is about being a man of high standards. A man who does not need supervision. A man who leads himself first. A man who commands respect without demanding it. That man is dangerous. That man attracts favor. That man is remembered long after the mediocre have disappeared. I tell you now, every room you enter is watching how far you're willing to go. Not in words, in action, in precision, in posture, in energy. And the man who goes beyond becomes the man everyone counts on. So how do you train this? Simple. Every day ask yourself, what more can I give? What detail can I master? Where can I go beyond what is asked? How can I serve without needing credit? And then you act, not once, but daily, until the extra mile becomes your natural step. Say this aloud now. I am the man who goes the extra mile. I give more than is required. I walk in excellence, not emotion. That declaration must be repeated not because it's magic, but because repetition is how the subconscious learns your new law. Let me make it even plainer. Your results are not a reflection of your ambition, they are a reflection of your standards. You can talk like a champion, post like a champion, dress like a champion, but until you work like one, until you outserve and outdiscipline your old self, you are just another man with potential and no power. Power is earned, and it is earned in private, in silence, on the extra mile. That's where God watches. That's where identity is formed. That's where doors open. That's where destiny waits. And this law, this spiritual mechanic, never fails. He who gives more than is paid for will be paid for more than he gives. It may not come fast, but it will come surely. And when it does, no man can take it from you, because it was built in unseen labor, in silent commitment, in quiet repetition. Now hear me. The extra mile is never crowded. You will be lonely there. You will not always be celebrated, but you will be transformed, because in walking it, you become someone the world cannot ignore. The man who builds his life on excellence is never truly working for someone else. He is working for who he's becoming. And that is why winners go the extra mile, not to impress, not to please, not to be seen, But because they understand a law deeper than reward, you do not attract success. You grow into someone it must obey. Most men will never reach the extra mile because they still serve short-term validation. They still check their output against other people's opinions. They still say, "What's the use? No one notices." But I say to you, the universe notices. Your subconscious notices, and most importantly, you notice. Every time you give more than required, you are writing a new code in your inner world. You are announcing, "This is who I am now." You are casting votes for a new identity, and identity is the law that determines your altitude. Let me remind you of something simple but often forgotten. The difference between average and excellent is not talent, it is repetition of superior behavior. A man is not excellent because he is more gifted. He is excellent because he has chosen time and time again to exceed the standard even when it would be easier to settle. He walks into a room and gives his best. Not just once, always. Why? Because the man who gives his best without needing applause becomes the man who receives favor no one else understands. That's why people call it luck. But there is no luck on the extra mile. There is only compounding effort. Invisible days stacking in your favor. Silent seeds blossoming when no one expected it. Divine timing responding to earthly obedience. But if you refuse the extra mile, you also refuse the harvest. Let me speak this into your life right now. God does not elevate the man who avoids hard things. He elevates the man who does what is right, whether it feels good or not. Discipline is not punishment. It is permission to rise, permission to separate, permission to carry what others were never trusted with. And trust is earned through consistency on the extra mile. Let me make it clear. There is no such thing as a small task when you are building a great life. Every task is spiritual. Every task is an opportunity to shape your character. Every task is a mirror of how you see yourself. You think you're too important to clean that mess? To write that email again? To show up 10 minutes earlier than everyone else? You've already disqualified yourself, because greatness begins in small things. Show me a man who handles small tasks with dignity, and I'll show you a man who is ready for dominion. Excellence is never accidental. It is enforced by decision, by habit, by identity. And now I challenge you. No more good enough. No more I did what I was told. No more I'll start strong and finish sloppy. From this moment on, you will finish with fire, show up with command, act like the standard lives in you, because it must. You no longer mirror the people around you. You set the standard and let them catch up. You no longer do what is required. You do what builds legacy. Say it aloud with me. I do not serve minimums. I exceed expectations. I walk in mastery, not mediocrity. And you must say it not only once. Say it until your inner man believes it. Say it until your actions obey it. Say it until your schedule, your posture, your work reflects it. Because your words are a blueprint. But your daily effort is the hammer that brings them into form. You want to be rare? You want to live a life few ever experience? Then you must do what few ever sustain. You must go the extra mile when it's inconvenient, when it's unnoticed, when it's unrewarded. Because it's not about outcome, it's about who you become in the process. Every time you give more than expected, you are growing your ability to carry more. And the man who can carry more will eventually be given more. This is the law. It never fails. But I must speak plainly. Going the extra mile requires pain. Not the pain of exhaustion. The pain of letting go of the mediocre version of yourself. The pain of bearing excuses. The pain of choosing excellence when shortcuts are applauded. And that is why most men will quit. They'll say, it's not worth it. They'll say, no one's watching. They'll say, it doesn't matter. But those are the phrases of the unfinished man, the man who dies with potential still in him, the man who almost became. You will not be that man. You will be the one who is trusted with the future because you prepared in private, because you built muscle when no one asked, because you gave value when others were conserving energy. And what does that kind of man attract? Everything he was once chasing. You chase recognition, stop, become irreplaceable. You chase wealth, stop, become a man who multiplies value. You chase leadership, stop, become a servant who acts like an owner. The extra mile is where all of this lives. It is the place where habits become law, where identity hardens into certainty, where favor finds the faithful, where the invisible becomes real. I tell you now, you don't need more affirmation. You need more alignment. And alignment is simple. Do more than you're paid for. Finish with excellence. Arrive early. Stay late. Speak with conviction. Act like every task is shaping your destiny. Because it is. Now let me warn you of the enemy that destroys the extra mile. Entitlement. Entitlement says, they should give me more. Excellence says, I will give more until the world has no choice but to respond. Entitlement says, they're not recognizing me. Excellence says, I will become undeniable. Entitlement asks, what do I get? Excellence asks, what else can I give? You must kill entitlement. It is the destroyer of all upward motion. It is a parasite that feeds on potential. It is a voice that weakens your command. Replace it now with a new law. I owe the world my best. I do not wait to be rewarded. I act from identity. That identity is unshakable. It is the voice that says, even if no one thanks me, I will still deliver my best. Even if they don't raise my pay, I will raise my standards. Even if I am misunderstood, I will be remembered for my consistency. This is how giants are made. Not in applause, but in pressure, in silence, in the fire of internal obedience. You do not need another breakthrough. You need to finish strong. You need to go where others refuse. You need to commit to the habits that create legacy, whether anyone claps or not. Because legacy is not written in one great act. It is carved into history by small acts of excellence, repeated long after emotion fades. Say this again. I go the extra mile. I give more than is expected. I do not need permission. I am the standard now. You speak it not just to inspire. You speak it to remind your spirit who is in command. And the more you obey this law, the more success must obey you. You won't need to chase favor. Favor will find you. You won't need to market yourself. Results will shout for you. You won't need to demand recognition. Your presence will command it. Why? Because the man who goes the extra mile becomes a magnet for every opportunity he once begged for. He becomes rare. He becomes steady. He becomes someone success can trust. And that, my friend, is the kind of man you are now choosing to become. Now let us speak plainly. Going the extra mile is not a motivational slogan. It is a spiritual contract, a law between you and the invisible forces that govern your results. Every time you exceed what is asked of you, you send a signal to the universe that says, I am ready for more. And whether it takes days, months, or even years, that more will come, not by force, but by law. But this law cannot be cheated. You cannot fake extra-mile living for a few days and expect transformation. You cannot pretend to give your best while secretly resenting the process. You must be all in, committed in thought, word, and action. This is not about being perfect. This is about being principled. It's about rising with purpose, executing with excellence, and refusing to compromise with the mediocre man you used to be. Let me remind you, The man who walks the extra mile is not driven, he is devoted. Devotion outlasts emotion. Devotion shows up when tired. Devotion keeps its word. Devotion doesn't need motivation to move. It moves because it is called. And the man who is devoted becomes the man who cannot be stopped. You want uncommon results? Then live with uncommon discipline. The average man needs reminders. He needs deadlines. He needs someone watching him to stay consistent. But the extra mile man needs nothing but the promise he made to himself. He doesn't move for applause. He moves because excellence is now his identity. You must now decide that your work, every piece of it, is a reflection of your legacy. That every task is an altar on which you leave your name. That everything you touch bears the mark of mastery. Because when it does, everything you want begins to move toward you. Let me speak directly to the spiritual law again. The man who serves more than required becomes magnetic. Not just in business, in relationships, in influence, in confidence, in power. People will not always understand why you win. They will call it luck, timing, even favoritism. But you will know. You will know that while others slept, you built. While others complained, you exceeded. While others stalled, you advanced. And that invisible momentum built in silence becomes your public miracle. This is how God moves. He tests in the dark before he promotes in the light. He watches what you do when it feels pointless. He examines how you carry small things. He listens to your thoughts in secret. And when he sees that you go the extra mile, when no one is looking, he trusts you with more. So stop waiting to be seen. Start acting like you are already chosen. Because you are. Not by man, but by law. Not by flattery, but by fire. Not by popularity, but by principle. Say this aloud. I give more than I am paid for. I am trusted with more because I serve with excellence. I go the extra mile always. This must become your breath, your code, your standard, because now you are no longer working toward a goal. You are living from identity. And when identity shifts, results follow like a shadow. You no longer finish the task when it's acceptable. You finish when it is excellent. You no longer do just enough to pass. You do more than enough to lead. You no longer serve for the sake of reward. You serve because you were born to set the standard. Let me teach you one more truth. The extra mile is a gateway. When you walk it long enough, your character expands. Your belief deepens. Your intuition sharpens. And one day, without warning, the very thing you are chasing now chases you, because you have become the man capable of holding it. And that is the ultimate secret of going the extra mile. Not that it gives you more, but that it makes you more. More disciplined, more prepared, more refined, more magnetic, more powerful, more aligned. Do not let the world convince you that going further is foolish. The world is filled with men who played it safe and lived with regret. You will not be one of them. You are not here to match the energy of the room. You are here to elevate it. You are not here to do what is fair. You are here to do what is excellent. You are not here to survive. You are here to become impossible to ignore. So let them settle. Let them measure effort. Let them shrink their expectations to meet their energy. But as for you, you will rise. You will press. You will exceed. You will outlast. You will not wait for permission. Because you are not average. You are awake. Awake to the law that rewards initiative. Awake to the principle that honors the unseen effort. Awake to the discipline that separates the called from the chosen. And now, your identity must match this awakening. You are not a man who sometimes goes the extra mile. You are a man who lives there. You have no off switch, no backup plan, no neutral gear. You have only one gear. Go further. Say this aloud now and declare it with finality. Excellence is my nature. Extra is my normal. I give more, serve more, and attract more because that is who I am. Let no one talk you out of this. They will tell you you're doing too much. Ignore them. They will tell you to slow down. Ignore them. They will tell you to settle. Ignore them, because you don't serve their opinion. You serve your calling. And the man who honors his calling above comfort becomes a leader others must follow. Do not slow. Do not apologize. Do not shrink. Instead, go deeper into discipline. Sharpen your systems. Own every hour. Protect your mornings. Refuse to drift. And leave your fingerprint on everything you do, because that is what the greats do. And greatness is not for the lucky. It is for the loyal. Loyal to the standard, loyal to the vision, loyal to the law. And now, I leave you with this final charge. Do not go back to the land of average. Do not return to emotional effort. Do not settle for checklists over craftsmanship. Do not tolerate a life where just enough is accepted. Go the extra mile every day, without exception, without excuse, without ego. Do it when you're tired. Do it when no one is watching. Do it when your reward is delayed. Do it until you can no longer live any other way. And then, when the world asks how you did it, you'll smile, because they'll see the fruit. But only you will remember the road that was empty, the road that was long, the road that was lonely, the road that changed everything, the extra mile. That is where winners live. And now, so do you.